Phil, we're on. We're live.
Hello. This feels like we're doing some type of like a television show or something.
Doesn't it just? Doesn't it just?
Yeah, I'm a bit nervous. I have to tell you. Do we even call this the green room? So, are there people actually listening?
There are. Let the whiskey flow like wine. Fun times. New whiskey's incoming. And we're on, my love. It is the batch number 4 virtual release party.
Wow, this is weird. I have to say, I'm sitting here in the distillery tasting room by myself with my computer and a bunch of whiskey. And talking to my screen. So this is this is not like the last release party we had.
No. And to everybody listening, we really wish that we could be at the farm right now with those fires going and inviting you all into the tasting room and touring you around the farm. But obviously not a go for 2020.
It all sounds very perfect, but I don't know if you remember the last time we had a release party, it poured rain. It was our first release party. It was dumping rain. It never rained. Well, it does rain that time of year in Hood River, but we had, tents we were under. We had a great time though. We had the fire going. It was great. It was the first time we'd had people at the farm for a release party.
Yeah, I know. So, well, we can't be at the farm, but we thought that when we you would. No one has to be at the farm. I have to be at home with the kiddos. Yeah. But we thought that when we first began this, our good friend John Hilton shot an amazing video of the farm.
Oh, great.
And so we thought we would launch this launch party with giving you guys a really beautiful look at the farm and the distillery.
Wow, is that ever nice? I don't know if it ever looks like that, really. Does it?
I don't know. Listen, to everybody listening, we are so appreciative of you taking time on your Friday evening. So like any good party, we have a great giveaway to start with. And so we have a code for $10 off any bottle of whiskey you like or any gear. And that code is release party. So if by the end of that you'd like to use that, we hope that that is a good thank you for spending your time with us here at the farm.
We're kind of at the farm. We're virtually at the farm. Yeah, that is a great video. I don't know how many people who are listening have actually been here, but it is a special place. This time of year, we're in the transition time now. We're finished with summer. It's the fall, and the leaves are changing color. It's cooler. It actually rained. It's raining right now lightly, but there was a proper storm just came through. So now it's the fall, and the whiskey, which I'm sitting around, is about to, I wouldn't say go dormant, but things are changing right now. There's a change in seasons, and so the whiskey is it doesn't change as much now, or in the winter it doesn't. The flavor stays fairly constant. We're not quite there yet, but yeah, it's nice. This area of the world has a proper 4 seasons, which is quite nice. We get some snow, but not a ton. But yeah, we're in the fall. So that's what I'm around right now, apart from being in the distillery itself.
So Phil, should we, so we have that lovely video, and then last weekend, Phil and I were down at the farm, and we took it back to 2020 style, and we've shot a few home videos.
I just have to tell everybody that I really didn't think these videos were going to be used in the first cut. They are, and I apologize. I would have done a better job if I had known, but anyways.
Anyway, so because you can't tour the farm, you're going to watch me following Phil around as he takes you on a little tour and shows you some new things that we have going on there.
So this is the farm. For those of you who haven't been here before, this is our farm we've had for years and years now, and it's evolved a ton over the years, but it's still, a lot of it is just like when we first got here 15 years ago. So we have the area where we usually cook and hang out and play sports. and the farmhouse, and then the fields. This is a field that we typically is planted in grass, and then there's the forest where we have some biking trails and hiking trails, and then this is the barns. So we have barn that's being constructed, a barn that we're trying to that we couldn't save, so we replaced it, and then this is the distillery. So the distillery is looks just like it did when we first bought the place, except it's got a new foundation and it's standing upright, so that's been a big improvement. And then behind it is our pole barn where we have our combine. So this is our new pole barn. Just got this made a year ago. We've had this combine for a few years and we never had a place to keep it. So now we do, and it's actually custom made really for this combine. We'll have room too to store our tractors and our gators and mowers and stuff too, but if you look, this is a perfect fit for our combine, and so it no longer gets rained on. It no longer has to get destroyed by the environment. It's oh, I gotta close the door. But yeah, so this is some barley left over. We're actually not going to use this barley, and then this is our barley field right here. So if you look up, this used to be a cherry orchard. We tried growing cherries, but it wasn't very productive. It wasn't worth it. So we realized that we could plant and grow barley. Barley grows in many places, but it does happen to grow here very well. And we've been growing full pint barley here now for a few years. This is a barley that was developed at the University of Oregon. And Pat Hayes was the person that I got advice for that on, and continue to. They've been amazing. And so yeah, this is our barley field. Yeah, we're just figuring it out. We figured out how to grow it and how to make it grow, and how to harvest it too with the combine. So that's been a really fun part of Wanderback whiskey is growing barley and using it in our whiskey, which is we will be releasing whiskey that has our barley in it in the years to come. Now it's aging right now, so that's a very exciting part of our story as well.
That wasn't too embarrassing, my love.
What's that? So this is
wasn't
our
too.
barn. This is our distillery. This is where we make whiskey. You can, I could go into the details of how this barn. I mean, this is a classic old Oregon barn. It's a red barn. You know what you'd see on the pictures. And when we bought the place, there was a stream running through here. We're in a valley here, the Hood River Valley, and it slowly eroded the foundation, and I never thought it was savable, and I found this amazing concrete company here in Hood River, and these guys saved it. They put the come along and pulled it straight up again, and then they replaced the sections one at a time, and now we have this super bomber. We have a place for loading and a super bomber foundation. The floor is super thick and amazing for driving whatever, and it's a great place to store whiskey and age whiskey. It's a barn, and it doesn't have any. It's not exposed to the elements in that it's a waterproof structure, but there's no insulation, and yeah, it's a really interesting, fun place to age whiskey. So, would you like to see inside? This is where the whiskey is stored. It's amazing. Unfortunately, I can't. You can't feel the temperature difference. But I was just upstairs, and now I'm down here, and this is a cooler place. So half of this floor is underground, and so because of that, the temperature doesn't go up here as much. You know, like it's about 75 degrees outside, I would guess. And in here it's probably low 60s. So when we want things to go slow and we want whiskey aging to slow down and start, you know, mainly have the effects of oxygen and that sort of thing, rather than heat, this is where we put our casks. Whereas if we want things to go and we want some taste to build, we want some extraction to happen from the casks, we put them up in the warmer areas of the distillery. So yeah, we test these. You know, people wonder if we go around drinking whiskey all day. We don't, but we nose, and so it's basically as simple as coming up to the cask and nosing it, and you can tell a lot, and good and bad. This is all good. So yeah, this is part of our aging process here. We use different casks. We use different levels of the barn. And yeah, it's a really fun group of variables that we change and modify depending on what we want. So batch 4 is special for many reasons, but one of the things is that it's the last batch of our Evergreen series, which we've had a ton of fun bottling and presenting to you all, and we hope you've enjoyed them.
There you go. We are bringing on Gregor McWee, our Master of Fun and MC. Woohoo! Yes, I think it's time. Everybody out there has something that might look like this. So Gregor is a dear friend of Wanderback. We are so grateful for his constant support and his just willingness to wing it with us. Gregor is a passionate whiskey enthusiast. He hails from Scotland, so he has a lot of inherent, knowledge, and it's in his genes really to know about good whiskey. And he's now in Portland, and the Pacific Northwest is his home. And so Gregor has agreed to be the Master of Fun. So he is going to be doing some prize giveaways and generally trying to keep Phil on track. And we'll see how that goes. I've been trying for 20 years. So good luck, Gregor.
No pressure there.
Good to see you, Gregor. How are you?
Lovely to see you, Phil, and Sasha also. Yeah, thanks for inviting me along. Doing well. I'm out at the coast right now, so if you hear some seagulls, that's why.
Perfect. If you hear actually, we had a mountain lion here. There was a mountain lion living right up in the woods, right beside the distillery here this past winter. It's gone now, but it's amazing, Gregor, that accent. It's amazing how it raises your whiskey IQ the minute you open your mouth and start talking. It's like when somebody puts a pair of glasses on and it makes them smarter, just the way they look. They look 10 points higher on an IQ scale, just with the glasses.
I know. I won't let on the fact I've only been drinking whiskey seriously for about 4 years. With the accent, it feels like I've been doing it from birth.
It's been around you.
Indeed.
Indeed. Well, Gregor, do you want to kick off with the first super easy question and prize giveaway?
Absolutely. And now I'm assuming, Sasha, you and Maggie are going to monitor in the chat to see who's first. It's a quick draw.
It is. So do you want to, so what we're going to do, people who are watching, is we're going to ask a question, and then it's literally going to be the first person, we hope to get it right, who pops the answer into the chat is going to win the prize. And it's not, Maggie is the wizard. So
right. I should say, I've been called a jack of all trades, master of none, but I'm very happy to be the master of fun right now. But that's a side note. So for those who are playing along at home, the prize right now is a T-shirt, a Wanderback T-shirt, right? And a trucker hat as modeled by Phil. Okay. So get those fingers on the keyboard, ready to go. So the first person that answers this correctly is going to be the winner. As on Maggie's chat, just because there can be a delay, so it'll be Maggie's chat is the key. So the question for this one is: which distillery did Wanderback collaborate with for their Evergreen collection?
I know.
No, I hope you know.
You don't get to enter.
Oh, okay.
Oh, and then Maggie's been very kind and put up a picture of that distillery. I wonder if anyone's listening and is wondering, they don't know very much about us. One of the things that makes Wanderback different is we actually do partner distillations with distilleries across the country, and Phil creates a bespoke mash bill, and then we make it together with another distillery and then bring it home to the farm for maturation.
the grain bill stays the same, but we work with these amazing plates. Like, look at those beautiful stills. Those were made at Vendome here in the U.S., but they're amazing. They're huge and they are beautiful, really beautiful. There's a it's just a nice spot. It's right in Seattle. Anyway, so working with these places, and the amazing thing too is how these stills can look different from distillery to distillery, and it matters. It makes a difference. Well, you'll all see our next release next year is from a different distillery, and well, you'll tell us what you think is different, because everything's the same except for the place.
So we have a winner. Maggie just whispered it in my ears. So it is QA Whiskey Critics. So we will DM you separately. Congratulations. And the answer was, Gregor?
Westland.
Good boy.
I thought for a second Maggie had the question running along as a subtitle to my accent.
That's funny. That doesn't look quite right.
Right.
That's funny. Awesome.
That's great. So we have a winner.
We have a winner. We distilled batches 1 through 4 with Westland. And number 4 represents the last of those limited editions that we'll release with Westland. So yeah, this time next year, we'll be releasing something from a different partner distillery. So it's a kind of special time for us. It's bittersweet, I would say.
Yeah, I was going to ask Phil, how do you feel, Antash? How do you feel that this is essentially the last of the first, if you like?
Yeah, it's funny, you know. I've been thinking about that because I never really thought of it like that initially. But yeah, it's quite fun. It's bittersweet, you know. It's amazing because I love the whiskey. It tastes good, which is nice. I was hoping it would. But then, I mean, when I started this, it's crazy how these things happen. You know, and Gregor, one of your jobs this evening has to be, I don't know if you have my number on speed dial, but if I go off and talk too much,
right,
or just on, can you send me a text to shut up or stop talking?
What I'll do is I'll do this, Phil, and that's your cue to wrap it up.
Perfect. That's perfect. So if you do that, I'll stop talking. But it's amazing, you know. I come from Eastern Canada, and you know, I have a history there of people, very entrepreneurial people. My uncle Gus, I remember, used to make. Well, he had a hardware business, but he also made wine. And I remember seeing people. Remember going to his place and seeing that he made wine, and I thought it was so. I was okay. So stop talking. I was less than 10, and I thought, man, is that ever nice to make your own thing? So one thing led to another. It's been many. I've met many people like that since, and yeah, we started to work with Westland. So I'll stop there because I've been given the sign to stop talking quite some time ago.
We'll clean that up because it's not professional. I'll cough if we need you to wrap up.
All right. Well, listen, Phil, I know that people are really looking forward to, well, actually, maybe in the chat room, tell us if you've already started drinking your batch number 4. We hope so. But now we are actually going to do an official tasting. And we're going to bring on Anna Hines, who is one of our virtual brand ambassadors. She is a whiskey enthusiast and a trail runner. And what Anna likes to do for fun is to combine the two things together. So she'll run a trail and pair it with a whiskey. And then she has her own blog where she writes about that, which I think is just amazingly cool and a great fit with Wanderback because we love getting outside and having fun here in the Pacific Northwest. So I'm going to say farewell, Anna. Good luck. You are just on. But let's taste this whiskey. And Anna, let's go through a tasting with you and let's do this.
Good luck. Sounds great. All right. Since it seems like people have already been diving in, so we'll whip through some tasting tips, and then I want to hear what everybody has to say about it. So we can just start with, we know that this whiskey is double oaked, new American oak, and an ex-bourbon cask. We know it's 6 years old, 97 proof. But how do we experience it? So something to just talk about: tasting glass, a couple different options. Anything that has a tulip shape is a really great option for this. It really helps funnel the aroma to your nose, and it's pretty. And also, if it, as you're going along with this, give things a little bit of a swirl. Put your nose about an inch away from the glass to start when you're nosing. And then we get to talk about describing this. So one tool that we like to use at Wanderback is a tasting wheel. And I think we have that available to share. If not, it'll be, there we are, tasting wheel. So this is something that can really help you describe what it is you're smelling, what it is you're tasting. I know it can be a little small to read, but I think we're going to put that, yes, in the chat as well. So you can have it for any of your tasting experiences later on. This is something I use regularly. So it's just to help prompt you if you are nosing this or tasting this, and you're like, oh my gosh, how do I do this? How do I describe this? Oh, you know, there's definitely some floral notes in here. Okay, is it like fresh florals, or is it like dried herbs, or what kind of, how do we describe that? So you start in the center and move your way out, and you can get more and more refined. So I know, Phil, you used this when you studied at Harriet Watt. Is there anything you wanted to add about this?
Yeah, I think it's great that the last time we did a tasting, I didn't stop talking the entire time. We were talking to a bunch of great people from Los Angeles, whiskey appreciators, and I didn't give Anna 1 second to talk. So I'm having a good time just listening to it. So a tasting wheel, there are many tasting wheels, and I think this is the one from the Scotch Whisky Society, but there are many, and I don't think we want you to take this one and think it's the basic reason to have a tasting wheel around. First of all, you know, as Anna was saying, your nose will be able to sense many more things than your taste. You can taste a small number of things, whereas nosing it's you know, many different things that you can smell and distinguish. But the hard part is when you smell something, and I'm not very good at this, is basically being able to remember what it is that scent was. So, you know, if you smell something, to be able to say that, oh, that's a cherry smell, or that's a meringue, or that's a caramel, and marshmallow and chocolate are ones that are, you know, we've had those probably quite frequently, but there are some that are quite, you know, you don't have them very often, and they're hard to remember, and putting those words to what you smell is hard. And so this tasting wheel, it does highlight a couple of things other than your nose. So the mouth feel and the taste, but the nose, and these are some things that you can read through and taste. The way that I think of it is by organizing it into categories. So there are certain nose sensations, certain smells that come from the grain versus some that come from the barrel, and some that the yeast plays a role in some of the tastes. And so I think about it differently, but this is a nice place to start. And when you start to, you know, the other nice thing about this is that this applies to many things, not just whiskey. It applies to food and coffee and wine, you know, and all these wonderful things that we can taste. And this is a way of organizing them. But I think we would encourage you all to start here maybe, and then take it wherever you feel comfortable taking it.
So should we actually taste batch 4?
Nice.
So I know what it tastes like.
You should, yes, the master of this. So I will say that when I nose this, so there's a lot of really great notes that come through this one. It's really complex, which is where the tasting wheel can help, because it's just can be difficult to describe. I definitely get some fragrant honey, vanilla, slivered almonds. I know hazelnuts is another one that comes through. Caramel and vanilla always, to me, that's in every Wanderback. That's the main character. I love that facet of it. What is all about you there that have joined us? What are you getting? Type it in the comments. I'd love to hear.
When, Sash, when would you like us to talk about the history of this whiskey? Not yet.
Oh, you're muted.
You're muted. Can't hear you.
We're going to do that in the next section. So we're going to do that.
Great. Perfect. But you know what's fun for you all is to, well, like I was said, what I think about is tastes that or senses that you detect that remind you of a grain or wood. Things are different because the wood here is not, well, it's not meant to be wood flavors. We burn the wood and we age the wood, so it's not your typical wood flavors. But that's where a lot of these caramels and so on come from. So, but we're gonna go into the origin of how this whiskey was made, and I think that will also help some of you detect or remind you of some flavors as well.
Okay, well, so my love, let's let Anna keep going. Remember how you said
right.
last
Again, Anna, you know how I was saying to Gregor, I know you were listening.
Wrap it up.
When you want me to stop talking, can you give us some type of Good. That's good. Okay.
Great.
Actually, I'm going to mute you, my love. We're going to pretend it's like a presidential debate. Boom.
Oh, this is brilliant. Okay, great. So we talked about the nose. Another thing that can be helpful too as you're tasting, if it evokes a memory for you, that can also help describe it. I use that a lot when I'm tasting whiskeys. And for this one, because it has this kind of peppery but very oak forward flavor too. Something that would be really good on a rainy day, like in Hood River right now, for example. But this is something that makes me think of being at a cooperage in Scotland on a rainy day. Like the oak, the rain, spice, all of that comes through for me. So I would say, a lot more pepper, nutmeg, vanilla. All right, what is everybody else getting on here? Syrup, creaminess, great. Rye spice, definitely. Hint of leather, would totally agree. These are excellent. Good notes, everybody. This is great. Yes, I would agree. Perfect for the weather. We're getting to that time of year where this kind of spicy, rich whiskey is perfect. And someone had asked before, and we're going to get into this a little bit later, but it is whiskey that is similar to batch one because it started the same, but has been aging longer in that beautiful barn you saw before. Okay. Phil, do you have anything you want to add about tasting notes? I know you know what it tastes like.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Sorry, what was the question? When I can't be heard, I also can't hear very well.
Those are linked. Weird. What do you, when you were blending this too, but when you would taste it, what do you get off it? Or even nosing, if that's more descriptive.
Well, I think that you've hit on most of them. I mean, I always get vanilla, I get caramel, always get some of the dark currant fruits. What's really fun, again, I'm not quite sure what I'm supposed to go into here yet, but so you say that this is similar to batch one. It is, and it isn't. So yes, the beginning of this whiskey's life was the same as batch one. It spent the first about 3 years in a new oak cask, really rich cask. It was a cask that was aged outside for 3 years. And then, we can go heavily toasted, lightly charred. And so, yes, it started just like that, but then it sat in previously used, somewhat more neutral casks, ex-bourbon casks. That's why we call this the double oak, for about 3 years. And it's amazing so I love batch one. That was the first one we did. That was, it's a big whiskey. It's not a whiskey for everybody. And that is that was or is an exaggerated version of this. This is a more refined whiskey. It's this time in this neutral cask where, basically there's oxygen dependent things going on and not much extraction from the casks anymore. It's amazing what it does. And so what I love to do is compare 1 to 4, and that's hard because there's not much of one left. But it's amazing what we've come. I'm probably running off, but there it is. There's the sign. I get the sign a lot. I'll stop talking now, and I'll revisit that maybe later.
Thank you, Phil.
So Anna, was there anything else you wanted to add about tasting notes? We've got lots of lovely comments in the thing.
Yeah, I mean, there's some really great. I love seeing what everybody is experiencing with this whiskey, and there's no wrong answer, of course, as to whatever you are tasting or smelling. But you're right that this is more sophisticated, rounded out from some of the previous batches, and it's sort of like the epitome of this evergreen collection. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's a lot of people really love batch number 1, so it's like the sophisticated older brother of batch number 1 to me.
Totally.
What do you think, Gregor?
Oh, I had to unmute. I think it's fantastic. I think one thing we did miss was to say cheers and slanger.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Good branded glass there. I like it.
It enhances the flavour. No, it's great. I'm a fan. It definitely has a prickle, which I do recall from batch 1. And, not necessarily an alcohol burn prickle either. I think it's spice. So it's great. I'm loving it.
Yeah. I love the fact that it seems to kind of almost hark from the Highlands, but then have that twist of a very American whiskey as well. It seems to be like one of those great hybrids that we like to try and achieve.
With that kind of rye-like spice, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, Gregor, master of fun. Let's do it again. Master of fun.
Now, we should clarify some rules. Can QA win again? There's no. Okay.
Let's. They might just have a fast internet connection.
Right. Okay. All good. So, if I'm not wrong, the next question is related to the grains. Correct.
Correct.
Okay. I'll lead in with the prize. This is a good one. The prize is a box of Columbia Gorge confection chocolates. So it's very terroir based, right?
And they've just been made yesterday. Let me see if I can show you with batch number 4.
Wow.
And I'm the luckiest one because there's this box which I can eat, and then another box for the prize winner.
Nice.
So there's this wonderful confectioners in Hood River called Columbia Gorge Confections, and she loves to make chocolate out of our whiskey. Sorry, like that.
Awesome.
Yeah. Oh, hang on, Phil, struggling.
That's okay. No, I won't get through the delivery otherwise.
You better not eat all those. I'm not home, and I won't be home till to eat all those.
Muted.
So yeah, it's a box of the chocolates which are made with batch 4, right? And two Wanderback engraved glasses. So for those that want to know how they look, here you go. So lovely. And the question is, so fingers on the keyboard, what are the 4 grains that Wanderback used in the evergreen grain bill? Sorry, the whiskey's kicking in. 4 grains we're looking for, gang. And a clue might be in the prize. Dum, dum, dum.
Dun, dun, dun. So we're looking for the 4 grains in Phil's bespoke mash bill. Ooh, this is a harder one.
Because I don't think you seeded it in the pre-section.
That's right. Oh, easy peasy. Drinking Caveman, Charles, you are the winner. Yeah.
See, that was copied and pasted from the internet, though.
That's okay. Oh, Kyoshi missed it. So Drinking Caveman are another good friend who's been a wonderful supporter of Wanderback, and we've had the pleasure of having them out to the farm many times, is the winner of those chocolates and those engraved glasses. So congrats, Charles. That's awesome.
That's a great prize. I want to have some of those chocolates. I've never tasted chocolates with our whiskey in them.
This is torture for Phil. I'm going to eat one right now.
Thank you. Great. Am I going to be muted now too as well?
Mm-hmm. Oh, they're good. They're very good.
Great.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's introduce our next guest. Try do that. My mouth is full. Okay, so next up we have Blake Kaiser. Blake, hi Blake. Thank you for joining us. Blake is
how's it going?
Of That's Neat podcast, and we had the pleasure of having Blake out to the farm it was not that long ago, actually. It was during quarantine, right?
Yeah, it was we did it safe. Cody was really good about keeping his distance and wearing a mask, and yeah, we were there just a month ago.
That's right. So Blake has done a really great podcast with Phil. I think actually Blake has the most skills at keeping Phil on track. So of to date, of course,
he caught me at a weak moment. We were just talking about when it was. It was the beginning of coronavirus. It was just the beginning of shut. I was probably in shock. Like, what is going to go on here? This is bad.
Yeah, you were really well behaved, I could say.
Yeah, I was stunned. It was what you got me when I was stunned.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, today Blake is going to kind of do a mini podcast with Phil for everybody and talk to him about the journey of batch number 4. And let me see, are we going to do a video beforehand? And we're going to do a quick video before they get talking. And then Blake, over to you to ask Phil pointed questions and keep him on task, my friend. Thank you.
Yep.
So this is batch 4, our newest release, our latest release from the Evergreen series. And just to give you a sense for this whiskey and where it came from, how it came to be, it was made with our signature grain bill. We use mainly pale malt and then about just over 10% specialty malts. And it was distilled at Westland Distillery using copper pot stills. It was then shipped here as a new make spirit, and we started aging this whiskey in new oak casks, full-size new oak casks, 53 gallon. We use a cask that's heavily toasted and lightly charred, so it means it's a relatively lower temperature for a longer period of time, so you get a deeper penetration of the energy of the heat. And once it started to, and it was aged in various places, mostly downstairs where we have less temperature fluctuations than this level of the distillery. And so once we started to see a big taste or a big nose of the oaky character coming through, we transferred it to previously used ex-bourbon casks. That's why we call it the double oak. And we had it in those casks for about 3 years, and we blended various casks to make this whiskey. But that's the story of batch 4 from.
Well, that was cool. First of all, I gotta say this is a huge whiskey, and I really appreciate it. I thought batch 1 was my favorite, and batch 4 giving it a run.
Oh, good. I'm glad you like it.
I absolutely love it. Yeah, I think that the extra time in the used oak really rounds it out, kind of polishes off those peaks that batch 1 had.
Yeah, that's right.
What was the idea behind it? What was what was batches 4 coming to being?
Well, it's like the beginning of the distillery. It started with wanting to make a good whiskey, one that I would like. I tasted a number of whiskeys back when I came here to the U.S. 20 years ago. Yeah, I know. I'm old. I'm getting old. And I obviously I tasted the bourbons and the ryes that we drink here and I love. But then one time I tasted something different. I was at a friend's house in Boulder, Colorado. I tasted Stranahan's, and it blew my mind. I thought, wow, this is really, really different and amazing. Mm-hmm. And then I discovered St. George's and Westland and these ones, and I wanted to make something like that, but better. And so It started with the grain bill. Do you want me to, again? So Blake, I give you.
Yeah, that was actually my next question. Is this the same grain bill as everything else that
Yeah.
was in the Evergreen? Okay,
It
so
is.
same grain bill as batch 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, and it'll be. It might be the same grain bill going forward. You know, I mean, I'm not sure, but this is a grain bill that came. You know, to arrive at this, it was one of those things where I was, again. So I tasted some of those new American single malts that were coming out, I guess 10, 12 years ago, and I thought, wow, this is interesting. What are these guys doing? And started reading, and they were using mainly pale malt, but also specialty malts, slightly different. So some of them are the same. Stranahan uses Munich.
Okay.
Chocolate malt is not commonly used. Westland uses in some of theirs, I'm pretty sure. And there are also some in Scotland. The Macallan is one that I know of, and the Signet was another one. And I really, really like these whiskeys. So the chocolate malt was came from those ones. The pale malt was the base sugar and the base taste, but then Crystal and Munich were nice ones as well. You know, I just made some. I honestly just made some barley teas, just soaked crushed malt in hot water and smelled it and tasted it. And some of the things I liked, and some of them I didn't. So that's how the grain bill started. And yeah, just through the jigs and reels, I got to meet the people that owned or that ran Westland, Matt Hoffman, and
They're great. Yeah.
And those guys agreed to make my whiskey, this grain bill. I thought, wow, this is great. How lucky am I?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's awesome.
And they made it the way that we worked together on how to make the cuts and so on. And then putting it in new oak it had to be done. Scotch is typically not aged in new oak, as I would imagine most people might know.
Yeah, but I really love that you guys are doing that. You're kind of bringing the American twist to single malt, which
yeah,
really cool. It's what really differentiates American single malt from the Scotch single malt or Irish single malt that people know of. It kind of gives it that Kentucky hug, that bourbon bite that you kind of look for in an American whiskey.
That's right. I love those whiskeys, and I think we make some amazing whiskeys here in the U.S. But so some people might think, well, why did you stop at 3 years? Why didn't you just keep it in new oak for the entire time, which is what most American whiskeys are made. Mm-hmm. But you started to get too much influence of those new oak casks, and we had to. I just didn't want to overpower the other flavors that. You know, the way I think about this is the way I think about, you know, cooking or whatever. We're layering flavors, you know, and so as the new oak flavors started to overpower those malt origin flavors, then we put it in these neutral casks, which is where typically a Scotch or an Irish is aged. And there's less taste coming from this wood, but there's a lot of really nice things that happen in these casks. It's amazing, you know?
Yeah. And that kind of leads into my next question. Hood River's got some pretty drastic climates. It's almost desert-like weather. As far as day and night goes, you got some drastic heat and then some drastic.
But you know.
And when I was at the farm, I really loved seeing the difference in climates between the lower and upper levels. What stage did this start out in that barn, and when did it move from the lower to upper, or vice versa?
Yes, so it spent the time in the new oak cask was all downstairs in the. Did we explain the barn? So should I explain the barn to you? The whole barn structure.
You did a little bit in the video that Sasha showed. Yeah.
Oh God, I wasn't watching those videos. I was. That's.
No, you did a really good job.
I apologize, for those videos. I wasn't aware they were going to be used. Anyways, I didn't quite look at it, but so yeah, we have 3 layers here, as you saw. The lower level is more or less. It's not quite a cellar, but half underground, so it doesn't. And then as you go up, you get more of the swings. But one thing, I mean, so for people who are not familiar with Hood River is this amazing place. Not only is it. It's got this river, this big volume river that runs through this gorge, and then these volcanoes. You can see 2 of them, Mount Adams and Mount Hood. They're right here, and then we're in the foothills of that, you know. So you have these amazing changes, and basically where we are in Hood River in this area, we get some hot, but it's very lush here. I mean, there's a ton of forest and green, but we do get some hot. I mean, it goes into the 90s in the summer in the daytime, not many hundreds, and then we get colds. We're about to, like today it was, low 50s, but we'll get snow here. So it's not quite. I mean, it definitely is. It's hot sometimes, but if you go literally 10 miles or 20 miles east, then you're into proper arid desert. I mean, Mosier, you have rattlesnakes and it's dry. So, but then as you go west, you can get into almost rainforest. It's incredible. And we're only 45 minutes from Portland, hour and a half from the coast. So it's crazy how quickly the temperature and climate changes.
Yeah. And I really could tell the difference. It was a pretty hot day when I was there. It was probably in the 80s. And when we were down in the basement, there was at least a 15-20 degree difference in temperature from the lower to the upper level. It was radical, and it was really cool to saw the bull run and how you guys moved the barrels up there to the upper level. It was a really cool tour. Really recommend it, actually.
Yeah, the barrel roller is a bit ghetto. We are going to improve on that, but
it made me really appreciate the work that goes into these whiskeys. You guys are getting a fantastic deal, that is for sure.
I know
the work that goes into these.
Yeah, it's it's pretty funny, but what's amazing is, so I didn't even answer your question. This whiskey spent most of its time downstairs, where I think things move fairly slowly, on purpose because of the new oak and what it can do. And then for some of the time in the previously used, it would have been upstairs, but most of its life it was downstairs. When we want things to move along a little faster or start moving, like we have casks up here on the second floor that are made from a different cooperage that we bought. Our ISC is the company that's the big independent stave company, is the big cooperage in this country and in other countries too. But Canton is another cooperage that we've been using, and these Canton cooperages, cooperage casks are a different grain, very tight grain. They're a wine cooperage as well. And things weren't moving as fast, or they weren't changing like we wanted to the first year. And so we moved them from downstairs to this middle floor, and now things are happening. And it's so you can use these microclimates to make things move or slow them down,
Yeah, for sure. So I was told by someone once told me that this whiskey was proof down in the barrel. Is that true?
Yeah, we do. Yes, it is. So I learned a tremendous amount from a woman, Nancy Fraley. She is a woman in the industry who I was privileged to spend time at a workshop, a weekend deal in Texas with her and a bunch of other people, and extremely knowledgeable person. And one of the things that she taught me, I'd read about it before, but I never really made much of it. But diluting whiskey slowly is better, turns out. But it sounds crazy, but it makes a difference. So we basically have a bit of a target of where we want to end up with a whiskey. And then over the course of 6, maybe 9, possibly 12 months, we will dilute it in the cask is the best place. And there's 2 reasons for that in my mind. And there's like many things in this industry, there's differences of opinion, but slow dilution in and of itself makes it taste nicer. You talked about the edges. For me as well, it makes the edges less sharp on the whiskey.
It's definitely round, compared to batch 1, which is right. I feel like batch 1 is kind of like, it's like a young kid and clothes that are a little too big for him, but he's still really fun and interesting. And batch 2 is just this amazing, well fit, young man who's got a fitted suit on, who's, that everything just fits right, and he just knows what's going on.
That's so funny. Can you draw a picture of those things that you just described for me, maybe?
Oh, no problem. I'll get right on
Yeah, so I completely forgot what I was going to say listening to your description of
Oh,
it.
sorry, I get a little abstract sometimes. The last time I was at the farm, though, the new barn was under construction, and you guys showed some videos of what it would look like now. What's the progress on that, and is that going to allow you guys to increase production size at all, or are you going to keep it for more promotional or event based?
More event based, and it's coming along. I tell you, it's slow as molasses. But it's coming along, and we're going to have a great space. One of the things we have one building here that is, as you can imagine, this is a very regulated industry, and we are only allowed currently under our regulations to have whiskey in one specific area, and we will outgrow that. I don't know if we have plans of storing all of our whiskey here on the farm. We'll have to see. But it's coming along. It's amazing how this place has evolved in the past 15 years. I mean, I don't know. I can't, again, I didn't look at the video, but this barn that I'm sitting in was falling down. It was the foundation was just being eroded by this water.
Yeah.
And now it's perfect. It's got this beautiful foundation, and it's standing level, upright, and it's a good thing because there's a lot of weight of whiskey in here. So I'm hoping it's made well.
Yeah, me too.
But you were saying about the climate here in Hood River, and about you were here in a hot time of the year, and it definitely gets hot.
Mm-hmm.
But what I didn't realize is it's a really nice place to age whiskey. It's not hot and humid like many places where whiskey is aged, which does great things, but different things. And it's not so hot and dry that we're losing a bunch of spirit, the angel share. But yet we get these fluctuations. Like I said, I think I was saying earlier on, we get seasons, and it's also really fun to see how the whiskey changes in the different seasons, So as I think I said earlier, we're in the fall, we're entering the winter. Things still have a nice aroma. They're somewhat open, but if you came down here in the winter, the barrels are somewhat closed, more dormant. And then as the spring arrives, things open up, things start moving, tastes start happening. The whiskey, we don't bottle anything in the winter, and we never will.
I heard when I was there, it was Cody was really explaining that well about pulling in the summer or spring versus pulling in the winter, and the differences it makes. And it's things I never even thought about. I just thought like, oh, I hit the 5-year mark, let's pull this whiskey and it's gonna be great. Like, no, he was really informative about that. It was really cool.
There are a number of things about making whiskey that make it somewhat closer to the land than maybe other things would be. But obviously, growing grain, you're growing grass, so that's very much part of the land. But the barrels, they sit in this place here, this barn. It's not insulated. It's a barn. It's open to the elements except for the rain. And it matters, these barrels. It's crazy. I again, if I'm talking too much, make sure you give me the sign. But these barrels we discovered a bit by accident. I mean, it was basically a vessel for transporting many liquid things, including spirits. And it turned out that it made some things taste better when you took them out of the barrel. But it's incredible how, so this watertight vessel that you can put whiskey in allows oxygen to move in and out. There's tastes actually from the wood itself that are good if you heat it properly and if you age the wood properly. So that's a really amazing thing about making whiskey is it's, not only, like I said, the grain and the source of sugar and a lot of the taste is grown.
Right. The
barrels are grown. And also the barrel sitting in the environment, it makes a difference. It changes the taste. And that's quite remarkable. There's not many things like that,
No, it's a really special process, and it takes a lot of time. I think we're out of time now, and I think we got to go into. I think Gregor is going to have a quiz for us. Yes. Oh, Sasha, you're muted. Sorry.
I'm muting myself now. First of all, we're going to show a quick
Another video.
Another video.
Yes. My favorite.
So the blending process, when we're getting to the end and we feel that we're getting there with these whiskeys, we'd like to think that we predetermine what we get, but we don't. I mean, these whiskeys, they have their own path, and even though we talked about the double oak where we had them in new oak casks and then previously used ex-bourbon casks, even though those are sort of what we would call a general classification of a barrel, within those classification or categories or subcategories, let's call them, there's a tremendous amount of variability. And so for this whiskey batch 4, we have some special casks. HH 10 and 11 are special for us right now, and those casks may not remain special forever, but it's amazing what these casks the positive things that they'll do to whiskey. They're like sweet casks. So we had one HH11 that we thought was going to play a big role in release 4, but when we started blending and playing and testing, it didn't do the good things that we had hoped, which happens. And so one downside of that is we had less volume to make batch 4 with, which is a bit of a bummer. But the good news, or the good thing that came out of it, is we have this single cask release, HH11. We have another one too that we're planning on releasing, which is amazing on its own without any blending and even without any dilution, so no water is added either. So yeah, I mean, again, these things, it's a journey. We try to curate, we try to move things along, and we try to make sure we have the right environmental factors and obviously the right basic ingredients and water and everything. But these casks are all going on their own journey, and we try not to get in the way, and we try not to truncate things. Sometimes we have to, we blend and we bottle when it's ready, but sometimes we let things go, and that's quite fun as well.
Awesome. We're giving Phil a break. Gregor, you're on. Gregor, you're on.
Sorry, I was on mute. Who's that guy?
This? Yes. Look, Sam Shower or Sam Humans.
Phil just got super young all of a sudden. Quickly.
I bet we're the same age. Just a guess. I think our children are the same age anyway.
Gregor, this is Sam. Sam is a Wanderback brand ambassador. Oh, hang on, we're mirrored.
Nice to meet you, Sam.
Sam, we're very happy to have him join our team. Not only is he a whiskey connoisseur, but he is a long-term bartender in Portland, and he is also a talented musician. And in this section, we were going to be talking to Robbie from The Botanist in Portland, a wonderful bar, and Robbie is a great bartender and had come up with a great craft cocktail with batch number 4, but unfortunately he has been called into work. So the three of us are just going to have a chat. But first of all, Gregor, master of fun, it's time for a giveaway.
It's been far too long since something free was given away.
I agree.
Up for grabs is a Botanist, which is it's the gin. No, it's not. It's not the gin. Sorry, my bad. We're giving away a tumbler and teas. Sorry, there was a change on that one. A tumbler and teas. Sasha can embellish on that. But the question, no bragging, but I knew what the answer was.
Really? I had to Google it.
Yeah, nah. I'm a lover of sushi. That's giving stuff away. So the question is, to the gang in the chat room, is what is an umeboshi? Umeboshi. What is it? First one wins the tumbler and teas. Nothing to do with Botanist.
I spent a bunch of time in Hawaii, so this one I knew.
Right.
Very popular in Hawaii.
Umeboshi, what is it? Anyone?
Oh, silence so far. So Sam, have you made many cocktails with it? I can't even say it. Umeboshi.
Never.
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 No.
Definitely not. I mean, not a common cocktail ingredient. That's
Right.
creative cocktail ingredient, and the way that the cocktail that he had planned for us was with an umeboshi infused syrup, honey syrup, which would have been really interesting.
It would have been really interesting. We're going to do that another time.
Might have to try. We'll see.
Let me check with Maggie. Do we have a winner?
There is a winner.
There is a winner. Let's see. I'm going to go back. Oh, we're going to get how detailed we're going to be. Okay.
I'm looking at them too.
You got it?
I can't say who I saw. It's on Maggie. Maggie's the decision.
Maggie, tie break. Okay, we're going to give it to Kyoshi. He was the first one in. He said plum preserved. I also think that we'll do a prize for Michael G and Mark Dinapoli. Sorry, Mark. They said dried plum and a dried Japanese plum. So we're going to do 3 prizes. So 3 sets of tumblers, 3 T-shirts to those guys. Good job.
Everyone's a winner.
Dried.
Right. And Blake,
taste.
call out Blake, who said an urchin. Nope.
Have either of you ever had them before?
No.
Yes. Yeah. I'm a big fan of onigiri.
It's
Good,
something.
bad?
It's an acquired taste.
Okay.
Put it that way.
Okay.
It took me a little while to get into it and like it, but I mean, pickled, salted, sweet Japanese plums, desiccated and kind of dried the way they are, and covered in that sort of salty, I don't know, powder. It's I mean, people in Japan and Hawaii eat them like candy. They're absolutely fascinated with them, and you can do that with all sorts of fruit. And I like the idea, especially with this, to make a honey simple out of it with those flavors in it. It's a good idea. Probably gonna have to steal it.
Yeah, let's steal it. So Sam, we are kind of putting you on the spot here, but so the ingredients for this was obviously batch number 4, an ounce of lemon juice, 3/4 of an ounce of umeboshi, a drop of orange flower water, and 1/2 an ounce of egg white. Can you describe for us how you think Robbie would have made that cocktail and what it would have been like?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it's a really specific idea. It's a play on there's 2 cocktails that it's kind of a play on, a bee's knees or a gold rush. Bee's knees it's more like a bee's knees, which is typically made with gin. Gold rush in the sense that it would be typically made with a whiskey. And I love the idea of that finishing egg white that goes into it. It's a cool idea. So with this type of cocktail, the balance between that sour citrus from the lemon and that sweetness combined with the honey, and then even having that extra level of flavor with the umeboshi infused honey syrup, you're going to mix all of those ingredients together at proportion and do a shake one time without ice. And the reason you need to do that shake without ice with the egg white in there is so that the egg whites will set correctly. If you shake the egg whites, on ice, they're not going to get that egg white foam that you want on top of that cocktail. Because a big part of this cocktail would be the presentation and would be the mouthfeel that the egg whites are going to give you at the end of it. So you're going to do what's called, in bartender terms, just a double shake. First of all, you shake all the ingredients, pop that back open, throw in the ice, give it another shake again. And then you're going to double strain it so you don't get any ice. You don't want ice chips in there as well. So not just the cocktail strainer that goes on top, but another strainer that would then go underneath it as such. So you're going to double strain it out so it doesn't get any of those ice chips, because you don't want the ice chips unless you're in a dive bar. And then maybe you want the ice chips.
And then there won't be any Wanderback.
Yeah, then there won't be any Wanderback. And no one's going to be ordering this cocktail in the first place. And then it'll be presented, in my opinion, be up. And it was finished with orange water, which is a great way to finish it with just a drop. I would probably atomize it, but
what does that mean? What does atomize?
Spritzer. I would probably spritz it over the top as opposed to dropping it in, depending on how you wanted it. I would, at one drop, I would assume it'd be more of an aromatic
Mhm.
So it's gonna hit you on the nose before you're really gonna taste it necessarily, and it will. I mean, I love it. I love just an expressed orange peel on the top of something. It's a great way to finish off, especially whiskey, in my opinion.
Mhm.
Like I love this whiskey straight. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I didn't have this until 20 minutes ago. It was when I
Ooh,
tasted of batch 4. I figured I would just do it along with everyone else. So when I
yeah.
had it out and she had it in there, I was tasting along with everyone else at the same time. So I'm just now kind of getting into it. It's fantastic. I wouldn't make a cocktail with it. I would just drink it. That's how I would do it.
Cheers to that.
I might, after I've gotten to know it a little bit more, I might throw an orange peel on it and maybe like a cardamom bitter or something really simple and interesting. If you were going to make like an ad hoc old fashioned out of it or something like that, where it's really about presenting the whiskey and making the whiskey forward be the thing. I might try an orange peel, but really, I'm going to sit and drink this, and I'm going to enjoy it very much.
Sam, thank you. That was wonderful.
Sam, round of applause for ad-libbing and ad-hocing, describing cocktail making in the absence of the cocktail maker. That was outstanding. Someone asked what bar you work at.
Well, I used to work at the Woodsman Tavern in Portland. The Woodsman actually got sold like last year, so
Sam, we know each other.
Yeah, that might be it, huh?
I
Oh,
recognized you.
We have met.
Yes,
You know Daniel.
I've had quite a few whiskeys across your bar
You've
counter.
come in a number of times. I have served you a number of times.
Oh,
Worlds, Gregor. Here's to small worlds.
cheers to small worlds. Cheers to small worlds.
Cheers.
Sam, thank you very much. That was amazing. Enjoy the whiskey, and
Cheers.
we'll say goodbye to Sam. And Gregor, I think it's prize time, and I think people, especially Drinking Caveman, if you are still on, you're going to like this question.
Yes, and I particularly like that. You know, people have to have done their homework. People have to have ferreted this stuff out. This wasn't talked about before, right? I'm just double checking. The question I'm talking about is Founder's Reserve, correct, Sash?
Yes, yes.
Okay, all right.
There
So the
it is.
keen-eyed, it's going to be the keen-eyed or the people that know the internet. The question, or rather the prize, is to be you'll be getting a wait, what is the prize? Yeah, a virtual tasting for 4. It's a good one. It's a biggie.
Yeah, good one. So that is an hour-long tasting with either Anna or Sam. And in the mail, you'll receive your samples of whiskey, and then 4 of you will be on a party together and have a good time and learn something about the whiskey with one of those guys.
Awesome, great. So the question for that awesome prize is: what is the proof of our Founder's Reserve, which is cask strength, if I'm not mistaken, Sash?
That is correct.
What is the proof of Wanderback's Founder's Reserve? Not out yet, right? Speaking of the founder.
Yeah, he's back again. He's back again. Yeah, so this...
Am I on?
You're on. So this is available for pre-order. We're shipping it November the 1st.
Gregor, so Sam served you a number of times, but he didn't tell us how many times he cut you off.
A Scotsman can always handle their liquor. Don't worry, I never got caught off.
Didn't Sam do
I
a
often
great
say
job?
that you understand a Scot all the better the more you drink.
Okay, so we are looking for the proof.
I've not seen anyone hit it yet. Proof. You can be proof for ABV.
Does anybody have a bottle of this so they can't actually see it? What proof?
So it's really yes.
Is it on the website?
No. So it is our Founder's Reserve, you guys. It is single cask, cask strength. Okay. Reese and Sean Davis. Oh, yes. Oh, Mark DiNapoli got as well. Well, Mark, I'm not saying your name right, Mark. Maggie, I think that Mark won last time, so I'm going to give it to Sean and Reese Davis. Okay, 116 is the answer. Maggie, what that again?
That is cask strength. Don't drink it too quickly. Does anybody have any of it yet?
There it is. There it is. So we have, this is HH10. It's signed by Phil, stamped EG for Evergreen, and HH10 on there for that cask that it came out of. And it's a special whiskey. So anyway, so that's the Founder's Reserve.
Should we talk about how that happened?
Sure, go for it, Phil. You got 2 minutes.
Yeah. 2 minutes. It started out the same as it's basically like batch 4, but it's from a special cask, one that was just makes wonderful whiskey. I bored everybody earlier with talking about the difference between casks, but there really is. And some casks do better things than others. And there are 2 that we have that do really good things. And this is one of them. Some people like cask strength whiskey. I do. And so this is our first cask strength, and we'll do more of these, but it's pretty fun to see. This is done by other distilleries as well, but it's amazing to see what a single cask can do. And some of them do really, really nice things. And so I hope everybody likes this. It's a more expensive whiskey because we don't have very much of it. Yeah, I hope you like it. It's one for a special occasion for sure. So this is a very special cask. We have a few special casks at Wanderback Whiskey, and this is one of them, HH11. It's an ex-bourbon cask, and it's amazing what some of these barrels, what good things they'll do to whiskey if it's sat inside them. And this is a barrel that we were going to use for our batch 4 blend, but it didn't do the kind of things we wanted it to that blend. And it's really nice on its own. So this will be a future cask release that we will bottle. This is what it looks like. Really dark amber color. It's a really special whiskey. It's a really special whiskey. So every drop is precious. And yeah, that's going to be a future release of ours.
Okay, so I think to end this, it's really about batch number 4. So we should bring it back to that. We think that this guy here is what we're bringing with you today, but obviously it's kind of steeped in the same history as 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the Founder's Reserve. But I'm bringing back on our wonderful crew who have helped us bring this party to you tonight. We so appreciate everybody tuning in. Phil and I say 99% of the time have so much fun doing this whiskey together. And
99?
99. Sometimes it gets 1% of the time. But anyway, so we've had so much fun with you all. We hope you enjoy your batch number 4. Again, remember there's that code to say thank you for tuning in with us and sticking with us in this kind of strange time where we can't have you at the farm, where we'd really like to welcome you there. So thank you to Anna, thank you to Sam, thank you Blake, thank you Gregor, our master of fun. It's been amazing. And of course, last but not least, Phil, you make great whiskey, my love. Thank you.
Thank you. So is this the end of the show? Do we have any more movies or anything yet? Oh, this is it. Sash, thank you for doing this. I don't know if all of you realize this, but I made whiskey many years ago and put it on the shelf. And turns out it requires a lot more than just making good whiskey to make a successful company. And so Sash, with everybody's help, makes it all happen, and including this event. So thank you, Sash, Maggie, for doing this. We really appreciate it. I hope you all had a bit of fun. We're not trying to be too serious, but just serious enough. We hope you like our whiskey, and we plan on making more. And hopefully we'll get to have you at the farm at some point in the future when we get rid of this. You heard there's a virus, Gregor. Did you hear that there's a virus going around?
Yeah,
Good night, you all. Have a good evening. Take care of yourself. Stay healthy and well.
Cheers. Thank you.